A historic immigration law reshapes the landscape. Congress has passed a bipartisan law under President Trump's second term that fundamentally changes how immigrants, green card holders, visa workers, and students are treated under U.S. immigration rules. This legislation redefines categories, increases scrutiny, and establishes strict penalties. For millions, the consequences will be immediate and long-term, reshaping the immigration system for years to come. Bipartisan agreement in Washington. Immigration has historically been one of the most divisive issues in U.S. politics. Party lines often create deadlock, making comprehensive reform nearly impossible. This time, however, both parties agreed. Republicans and Democrats reached consensus on sweeping measures aimed at security, order, and stricter oversight. Analysts describe the agreement as rare and unprecedented, particularly in today's polarized political environment. The passage of this legislation signals a turning point. It shows both political parties aligning around stricter immigration controls while maintaining limited openings for carefully screened groups of new arrivals. Citizens first, non-citizens reclassified. One of the central changes introduced is the reclassification of all non-citizens. The government now places U.S. citizens at the highest priority, while everyone else falls into one broad category. This includes lawful permanent residents, who previously enjoyed greater security than temporary workers or students. Under the new law, they are grouped together with non-immigrant visa holders and visitors. The effect is that green cards no longer provide the same level of protection. Permanent residents face increased scrutiny, challenges to their status, and expanded grounds for revocation or denial. The impact of DUI offenses. Another major provision addresses driving under the influence. A single DUI offense, regardless of when it occurred, now carries severe immigration consequences. The threshold for penalties has been lowered significantly. Previously, certain DUI cases were treated with leniency, depending on state law or mitigating circumstances. Under this reform, a single incident can lead to inadmissibility, denial of benefits, or removal. Even admissions of drinking and driving, without formal convictions, can be used by immigration authorities. This expansion broadens the scope of risk for many immigrants who believed their cases were resolved. Expanded grounds of inadmissibility. The first major pillar of this law involves inadmissibility. Anyone with a DUI conviction or even a record of admitting to one can now be barred from entering or re-entering the U.S. This applies not only to those applying for new visas but also to permanent residents seeking to adjust status, renew green cards, or apply for naturalization. The standard is significantly stricter. Minor penalties, such as fines without jail time, no longer provide relief. Even limited or decades-old cases can be used against applicants under the new inadmissibility guidelines introduced by Congress. Mandatory deportation. The second pillar is mandatory deportation. Any non-citizen with a DUI offense, whether classified as a misdemeanor or felony at the state level, faces automatic removal proceedings under federal authority. This reform eliminates previous discretion. Immigration judges and officers now have reduced ability to consider rehabilitation, personal history, or family ties when applying consequences for a DUI conviction. By standardizing the penalty nationwide, the federal government has overridden state distinctions. All DUIs are treated as grounds for deportation, regardless of severity or time passed since the incident occurred. Lawmakers emphasize public safety. Congressional supporters defend these measures as necessary for public safety. They cite statistics on DUI-related accidents and fatalities, arguing that stricter immigration consequences will reduce risks and protect American communities. The argument is that immigrants seeking to live permanently in the U.S. must meet higher standards of conduct. Lawmakers contend that responsibility on the road reflects broader societal responsibility. Critics warn, however, that the scope is overly broad. Many individuals with long records of rehabilitation and family integration may now face removal despite years of positive contributions. Naturalization standards tightened. For those pursuing U.S. citizenship, the reform makes the good moral character requirement more restrictive. A DUI is no longer considered a minor blemish but rather a decisive barrier to naturalization. Convictions now permanently prevent approval of citizenship applications. Even documented admissions of drinking and driving may result in long-term or permanent ineligibility, effectively closing the door to naturalization. This change affects thousands who have lived in the U.S. for years, contributing to society and fulfilling other requirements, but who will now be permanently blocked from citizenship. Green card security reduced. The green card has traditionally symbolized stability and opportunity. Under the new legislation, that perception is significantly diminished. A single DUI can now lead to revocation of permanent residence. This means lawful permanent residents face a heightened risk of deportation. Decades of residence, employment, and family ties may not protect them if they have a qualifying record of DUI. Immigrant advocates argue that this change undermines confidence in the permanence of lawful status, leaving millions uncertain about the security of their long-term future in the United States. Balancing opportunity with restriction. Supporters of the law argue it balances order with opportunity. While expanding enforcement, the reform also maintains some legal pathways for employment-based immigration and family reunification under stricter vetting. The stated goal is to prioritize U.S. citizens while keeping opportunities available for immigrants who meet high standards of compliance and conduct. The emphasis remains on accountability and public safety. However, for many non-citizens, this balance feels weighted heavily against them. The margin for error has narrowed, and trust in long-term stability is increasingly uncertain. Immediate community reactions. Reactions within immigrant communities have been strong. Families across the country are contacting attorneys to ask whether old DUI records could now expose them to risks of deportation or denial. Attorneys report an immediate surge in consultations. Many clients express fear that past mistakes, even those resolved long ago, could now have devastating consequences under the stricter federal framework. Personal accounts highlight the anxiety. Green card holders describe decades of compliance and contribution, yet now face the possibility of removal over a single incident in their past. What comes next? This law marks a new era of immigration enforcement. With bipartisan support and executive backing, analysts expect further tightening of eligibility, background checks, and visa approval processes. Some predict retroactive reviews of previously approved cases, especially where DUI or similar issues may exist in past records. This creates additional uncertainty for immigrants who believe their cases were settled. For now, the certainty is clear. Non-citizens face heightened scrutiny, reduced tolerance for mistakes, and significantly stricter consequences than at any time in recent decades of U.S. immigration law. Final word. The passage of this legislation represents one of the most significant changes in U.S. immigration policy in decades. Its reach extends across green cards, visas, and paths to citizenship. For immigrants, the lesson is straightforward. Compliance and awareness are critical. Even past actions can carry weight today, and one error may carry consequences far greater than before. If you are a green card holder, visa worker, or student, this is the time to seek legal guidance, review your history, and ensure you remain fully compliant with the law. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay informed about future immigration developments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.